Welcome everyone to the latest installment of the TFL show. My name is David Rome and I am here with Dan Tirico. As always, Dan Tirico, how are we doing this evening?
Oh, we're doing wonderful, man. Ready to get the show rolling.
Let's get this puppy going. Right off the bat, once again, as I said, we didn't really get a name of the show going yet. We still have that contest going on. This is the final week to get your submissions in. So people, let's get those submissions in. Name our show. Win a gift card. Let's get this thing going.
Or Bromeo, wash your car.
In a Speedo.
In a Speedo. There you go.
There we go. Alright, so first right off the bat, once again, folks, name that show contest, get your entries in. This is the last week. We will name our winner next week. We're going to go over our results from week 4, anything that was notable. There were no close games at all. Majority of them were all blowouts. Some people got their first wins. Some people didn't even show up at all. We'll talk about that. We got our Money in the Bank lock results, and we got games of the week. Let's get this thing started. Anything touch out for you for this last week 4? Any games?
Well, I think we did have a team get their first win last week. You wouldn't know.
I think we did.
Did you? Ah.
I believe so. Let me think here. Who could that team have been? Oh.
Yeah. Hello.
That was me.
Yeah.
That was me getting my first win.
Was it a division win at that?
For people who don't realize, the division wins are actually the important wins.
Yeah, those.
I want everyone to make. I want everyone to make note of that. It doesn't matter what your regular season win-loss record is. It's your divisional record that matters. And because I was able to win, I'm now tied for first, technically, in my division. Technically.
So, what do you think the key to your win was?
Well, the key to my win was being smarter than the opponent. I was able to get the right set of players in there. Actually, in all fairness, it was finally the team that actually performed. The last 3 weeks where I've lost, except for the week before when Will just embarrassed me. Normally, I've always just lose by a point or two, but this time my team actually showed up. Phillip Rivers, 30 points. Frank Gore, Des Bryant, 11, almost 12 points. But then the key, and this might be my pickup of the year, is the new starting running back for the Minnesota Vikings, Matt Asada. I don't even know how to pronounce it. All I know is when I pronounce his last name, it is points.
Asiata, maybe?
Asiata. I was like,
I don't know. It rolls off the tongue.
It rolls right off.
Frank Gore showed up in a big way too, man. New England they look awful. But yeah, I think you did. Congratulations on your first win.
Yeah,
hopefully you can.
It was good.
Keep it rolling.
I really hope to keep that sucker rolling. It was good to get a win. Once again, it was a divisional win. Big Orange Army actually beat me week 1, so it was nice to be able to, right off the bat, 3 weeks later, get that revenge. I believe there's one more match I'll have against him, so that'll be the rubber match. But, I'm 1-2 in the division. Finally got that first win overall, so that was a kind of nice thing.
Also, thing to note, we do have one undefeated team left.
All right, and let's go ahead and give a round of applause to Monsters of the Midway. They have a 3-0 divisional record, which basically seals that division, in my opinion, because their other 2 divisional foes have yet to win a game. If that's not amazing enough.
Well, bless their hearts is all I got to say. We might touch on that a little bit more too.
Oh, I'm pretty sure we're going to.
Yeah, I think so. So with that said, let's look at our last week's locks, week 4 locks. How'd you do last week?
Let's see. I did about as good last week as I always do in the TFL locks. I went 2-0. I am overall 6-0 for the TFL, which, I mean, I don't know how I'm doing it, but the one of the picks, I picked the Northeast Flying Bombers over El Palco Loco, and boy, did they help me out by not really even filling out a roster, so that kind of made that an easy victory. That's not what I was planning on doing or getting, but it worked out in the long run for me. The Northeast Flying Bombers blew out El Palco Loco, 142-55. So, I mean, that wasn't the only team that scored only in the 50s, but that was one of the heck of a game. It was a good pick by me. I didn't expect it to be a blowout, but I was able to get the victory on that one.
Are you paying these teams off to set their lineups like that?
No, because I only just got my first win last week. If I was paying off teams, I'd rather be 4-0 instead of 1-3. So I like having the perfect pick'em record. I guess that's good and all, but that's not getting me anywhere. I'm not getting into the playoffs with that.
All right. What else do you have?
I also had in here, which I thought was going to be one of those games where I thought I was going to lose. I took the Pill Pushers over the Sriracha Angry Chickens, and the Pill Pushers were able to pull the victory up. The score definitely doesn't show how close the game was. I think it was the Monday night game that took care of it here. Actually, no, it was Tony. You look at it, you have Aaron. Oh, that's what it was.
Yeah,
Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
Rodgers went nuts. Randall Cobb went nuts. Le'Veon Bell did his normal. Darren Sproles scored. Sriracha Angry Chickens just had the lineup that didn't really show up as well his running back barely got off the bus, but then again, New England was just embarrassed. So, I mean, he had Tony Romo. It was just one of those things where everything fell into place. His offense just lit up the scoreboard.
It happens.
Oh, of course it happens. That's why I'm 6-0 in this bad boy. What did you have in your locks?
Well, I did about as bad as I've done previous picks. I went 1-1, so it gives me a record of 2-4 in the TFL. My first pick, I picked against you, Big O versus Bromie's Homies, and Big O didn't show up. So you got your first win. It's kind of like a double victory for you. On top of that, you set me back on my lock picks.
Exactly.
Yeah, Phillip Rivers, Asiata, Gore. I mean, yeah, there's not anything else to say. My other pick that I did get correct, we had loose ends versus Outkicked my coverage. I went with Outkicked my coverage. That was a fairly close game. But did manage to do that one.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at the results of that one, that game was a quarterback game, and I think Nick Foles scoring 2.9 points. Wow.
Hello, I told you.
It took 4 weeks, but you're eventually right.
Yeah. It's I see that be a trend that will possibly continue.
And then Tom Brady, 3.36 points. Oof, if that wasn't the game where if you would have put those two in there, you never would have thought it would have been those low scoring of quarterback points. But I mean, it's a shame too for loose ends because Steve Smith blew up, which we all knew he was going to, and he blows up, wastes a beautiful effort from his wide receiver, and loses the game. But hey, you got your pick right, so there's nothing wrong with that.
Nope, it happens. So. Hey, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, well, it's a good job, well done, in my opinion.
Well, thank you, sir. I at least got one. I'm not 2-0. I've not managed to pull that off like you have, but still a lot of football left.
Oh yeah, plenty of weeks for me to eventually get one wrong.
So, speaking of games of the week, I think that'd be a good segue into our Week 5 TFL games of the week. Who are we looking at?
We are looking at a good matchup here. Central Wildcats versus Murphy's Law. Both teams, I believe, are 3-1.
Mm-hmm.
and I think it's also correct me if I'm wrong. Pretty sure it's a divisional
It
game,
is a
correct?
divisional game. So, and whoever wins this one, I think, is pretty much going to end up on top.
Well, there is nothing wrong with being on top.
No, definitely.
None at all. We tried to reach out to both of the owners of the teams. Neither one were able to make it onto the show today, but I was able to get statements from each of the owners. Let me go ahead and find those here for us here real quick. Did you have a breakdown at all on these two teams
Well,
while I'm trying to get their statements?
I do have a breakdown, but I'm going to wait to tell you who I pick, if that's okay.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
All right. So starting with Central Wildcats, let's just take a look. We got Cam Newton versus Chicago at home. Chicago is 22nd in the pass as far as pass defense. And Cam should have all day to throw. I look at him putting up big numbers. I think he's going to have a good time. We have Breeze versus Tampa at home. Breeze really sucked it up the last game. Last year when these two teams met, Breeze threw for 322 yards. He had 1 touchdown, 1 interception. I see him kind of turning that around. He is at home. Did poorly last week. I think he's going to bounce back. Tampa Bay is at the bottom of receiving defense. I think Breeze is going to put up some pretty big numbers. Whenever we start, so it's fairly even as far as the quarterbacks go. So let's just kind of bounce down and look at the running back. As far as running back, we got, Giovanni's coming off of a bye week versus New England. New England could not stop Gore. I think he's going to have a pretty good game as far as that aspect goes. Whenever we look at that was with Wildcats. Now looking at Murphy's Law, he's got Murray. Murray at home against Houston. Murray has just been a beast. Nobody's been able to handle him. I think Dallas has finally figured out. Run the ball. That's giving Romo time to throw and get in there, and whenever the teams they're having to stop the run, then that allows him to get his receivers and stuff open. Take the pressure off Romer. He's a good quarterback. Now looking at the other two, Central Wildcats has Darren Sproles. I think Darren Sproles has a better matchup than on Murphy's Law on the other running back. Murphy's Law has Shane Varyn, how you pronounce his last name. I like Sproles' matchup a little bit better. I think that kind of gives him the edge. Still teams, quarterback, running backs, fairly even down to this point. Let's take a look at, tight ends. Jason Witten for Central Wildcats. He's a little, more of a blocking tight end. He was good in a pinch. He's helped Romo get out of a lot of tight spots, but with him running the ball, throwing a lot more deep passes, more runs means less touches and stuff that Witten's going to get. I like Greg Olson better as far as the tight end matchup with Carolina. I think he's going to see more and throw up more points. Looking at the wide receivers, Central Wildcats, I think kind of have the I think they have the edge as far as the wide receivers go. Kelvin Benjamin looks good. I think he's got a good matchup. Macklin's done pretty good. I think he's got a good matchup. Hilton for Murphy's Law, he's done pretty good. Now Marquise Colston, I think that's going to kind of be the linchpin to the whole thing. If Marquise Colston has a big game, which he very well may, because I think Breeze is going to have a good game at home. If Colston throws up big numbers, then I see it giving Murphy's Law the edge. The only thing is, where has Colston been this year? He's been a non-factor. The best game he had was his first week. He had 11.5 points at the Falcons. 0 at the Browns. Vikings. He's a better wide receiver. He's a good wide receiver, putting up mediocre numbers right now. He might bounce back and surprise us. I don't see him really. I think it's going to be after the bye week before he kind of bounces back and starts putting up big numbers like he used to. That's as far as breaking it down. I'll tell you. I'll tell you who I'm picking a little bit later.
No, it looks like we might have ourselves a lock pick on this one from the sounds of it.
I think we do.
And we'll definitely get into that here in a second. Let me take a look. As I look at both of these teams, you can't argue with a lot of stuff you said. You are the Dan Stat man, so you know exactly how to break these suckers down and give everyone an insight at exactly what we're looking at here on both these. We might just call you like Jaws or something. We'll have to figure out a good name for you because you're definitely close to the way they break down these films and everything. And you're not even looking at film. That's what's crazy of how good you're at it without even looking at film. But I'm actually, this isn't my lock, and I'm going to go ahead and make a pick here. But if I had to pick between the two of them, I like Central Wildcats in this one. I see a lot more potential out of their players than Murphy's Law. I mean, Drew Brees should put up numbers. DeMarco Murray, was it a fluke last week? What if all of a sudden Dallas forgets how to run the ball? Jerry Jones up at the, Jerry Jones is Jerry Jones, and he can easily tell them, why do we run the ball so much? I want to see more passes. We're an offensive team. We like to have fireworks and all the other garbage that he likes to spew out of his mouth. But I look at it, Central Wildcats, I think, have the playmakers that could surprise everybody and score more points. Murphy's Law, they have the players, but I think it's just going to be one of those where Central Wildcat players outperform themselves. So I would pick Central Wildcats in this one to win it.
Yep. I think it's a good pick. Both of them.
I don't want to get into your lock here. Let's not get into your lock. Let's not get into your lock yet.
Gotcha.
However, with both Central Wildcats and Murphy's Law, like I said, we were tried to reach out to them to be on the show. Unfortunately, they weren't able to make it due to scheduling conflicts. However, we were able to get statements for both of them. And with Murphy's Law, we were able to get a hold of their coach, manager, and he has stated that he is going to show the Central Wildcats something bigger and longer than they've ever seen before. It's going to be a long week 5 for that guy. DeMarco Murray is coming back on his former owner with a vengeance. I can only assume they must have made a trade. Only assume.
Very, very well. I'm not too sure on that one.
Yeah, we'd have to look into that. And Central Wildcats fires right back. Must have somehow saw the AP press release off of Murphy's Law's comments, because he fires right back and says, let him know that he shouldn't be confused with fantasy football. He shouldn't confuse fantasy football with real fantasies. If he wins this week, he could pick my lineup next week. And if I win, I pick his lineup.
Ooh.
That sounds like an awesome challenge right there.
I think, yeah. I challenge you to a duel.
Yeah, I don't know how binding of a contract that is. We may have to get the commissioner's agreement on that. But as of right now, Central Wildcats is stating that if Murphy's Law beats him, he could set his lineup up, and vice versa. If Central Wildcats beats Murphy's Law, we'd have to get Murphy's Law to agree to that. But I don't know if the commissioner will agree to that. We all know how Commissioner Goodell likes to control things. But I mean, unless we didn't get that on video, so it may pass.
Well, I mean, Goodell, it's all smoke and mirrors, anyways. We know who really runs the TFL. He just he's kind of a figurehead we put out there. So we'll do what we want.
We do what we want. I mean, we haven't gotten kicked off the radio show yet, so exactly. And let's see. Our other match game of the week here is Outkicked My Coverage facing Scenbotts.
I think that's Scenbotts.
Scenbotts. Ben eventually is gonna do something to one of us. He needs to get on one of these. He needs to get on the show one day and just sit here and keep yelling out his name as we try to break down his teams and talk about his team. But let's go ahead and break down that matchup. Let's go ahead and find what we are working with here. Why did we pick this game out of curiosity is my question.
I just do it all. Yeah, we got a 2-2 Scenbotts versus a 3-1 Outkicked My Coverage.
It's got to be a divisional game. Is that the reason why?
It is. Actually, we have Outkicked My Coverage with they're 2-1 in a conference. Scenbotts is 2-2 in a conference. I think whoever takes this, regardless of their overall win and loss record, their conference wins here is going to determine that. So I think we need, that's a point we need to reiterate quite a bit this week.
Conference or division?
Or division, excuse me.
Okay, I just want to make sure let's not confuse the confused already.
Yeah, well, I was looking at the wrong column. Yeah, we have 1-0 in the division and 1-1 in the division. I actually said conference, so I was incorrect.
Yeah.
Thank you for setting me straight on that.
No, hey, I want to make sure we don't confuse the audience out there, because it is a confusing thing trying to figure out exactly what it is that you're trying to do in this league. Are you trying to win all your games or just win your divisional games?
Well, preferably both. But if I had my choice, I'd start with my division. Division now, conference later.
Exactly. Don't worry, if I'm going to play some, team from the NFC, I could care less. But when I'm playing Big Orange Army or Loose Ends, I'm going to win that game. Just saying.
So, Scenbotts versus Outkicked my coverage. You wanna tell us what you think?
Tell us what I think. Let's go ahead and see what I think about that. I have no idea.
David Rome, what say you?
What say you? Here's why I like this matchup. Oh, I was supposed to say something there. That's my bad. I kind of look at this game, and the Scenbotts, they have lost their last 2 games, which has they were 2-0, and now they're 2-2. So they're on a little tailspin. They're in the jet wash, so to speak. And can they go ahead and defeat Outkicked my coverage? I don't know. Outkicked my coverage has got a solid team. Take a look at some of their playmakers here. They have, and I quote, Brian Hoyer. What? Wait a second, that can't be right. Yep, they have Brian Hoyer leading the team. Outkicked my coverage does. You got Rashad Jennings running back, Justin Forsett running back. He's done a pretty good job taking over for I hit my wife in the elevator. She was my girlfriend at the time, but I lied to Goodell and nobody really knew what was going on, but please let me play. My wife doesn't press charges on me. She forgives me. Ray Rice. He's done a pretty good job backing up for him. You got Miles Austin, Reggie Wayne. As I'm looking at the roster, it's not looking good for Outkicked my coverage. It looks like the buys must be hurting them this week. Then you look at the Scenbotts, you got Kirk Cousins, Steven Jackson, Cordell Patterson, LaShawn McCoy. You hoping LaShawn McCoy finally scores little points here, gets himself back into the game. Steven Jackson at any time can score points, get himself a touchdown. But it's one of those games where, I have to relook at their rosters to just see if maybe the bye week's affecting this game, because it's a divisional matchup, which, kind of hurts there if it's the bye that might be the one that decides this game.
Well, so who are you picking?
Who am I picking? You know what I really would do?
Can they both lose?
I think they can tie.
Oh, okay.
I think tying is allowed. I think what I would do here is, if I was Outkicked my coverage, and I was listening to the man who's picked 6-0 so far in the TFL, I would actually go ahead and put Tom Brady back in my lineup. Just throwing that out there. If you put Brady back in, you win, Outkicked. Just throwing that out there. Tom Brady doesn't like to be embarrassed.
Yeah, he's just changed it recently, too.
Yeah, he doesn't like it. So I don't know if you'll have time to change this beforehand if you listen. And I'm not one to tell people what to do with their lineups. I don't like to try and get in all into that. I just like to break down what they're showing me. And when I break that down, I don't like it. I think you need to put Brady back in there. I think it wins you the game. If you don't, you lose. Plain and simple. So right now, as I look at these lineups, we're going with the Scenbotts.
Okay. I'm going to have to disagree with you on that one. Probably Hoyer or no Hoyer. Now, whenever I was looking at it, he's just changed that within the past little bit. When I was looking at it, he did have Brady in there. Even regardless, Brady, Cousins, both of them have been struggling. You know, they've had a few shining games, and then the rest of the time it's been so. Um, Cousins, I don't know. You know, Cousins. This with Scenbotts playing Cousins, we're going to see how he bounces back. I mean, last week was yeah, it was bad, and you know that's if he gets his head screwed on straight and he manages to come back and do a win, then I think he'll be all right. I don't know what caliber quarterback he is. That's one of the hardest things in the NFL as far as once you just get beat down is getting your head back in the game and shrug it off and go on and perform. With quarterbacks, with both of them, I think it's kind of a non-factor. You know, I think they're all struggling. I'm going to take that out of the equation and just look, you know, Scenbotts, Steven Jackson, Atlanta. So far, he's put up, you know, just so numbers at best. He's going up against the 12th ranked rush defense with the Giants. I don't think Steven Jackson's going to have a big game. I think they're going to have a lot more passing. McCoy who? You know, he's pretty much been non-existent to this point. I don't see him. I don't know. I guess he'll show up whenever he shows up. And until he does, I'm just going to continue to bet against him because that's pretty much what he showed me so far. Eddie Royal is probably the one shining spot that I think the Scenbotts has on their team. Heath Miller, I like Heath. You know, Heath is kind of like Jason Witten a lot. I think it's a lot more of a blocking tight end. With that said, Pittsburgh facing the Jags, anybody against the Jags has the potential to throw up points from the water boy to one of the head cheerleaders, I guess. So, you know, he's got a chance to put up some numbers. You know, he can't go wrong with Vinatieri as far as a kicker goes. Looking at Outkick my coverage, I really like Rashad Jennings. I like his matchup. You know, he's going against a loose rushing defense. You know, Atlanta is like 30th in the run. So I think Rashad's, you know, going to put up some big numbers. Miles Austin, it just depends on who's throwing him the ball. Think he'll do all right. Greg Olsen, I like that tight end matchup a lot better than I do the other side, than I do with Scenbotts.
Yeah.
And then Prince, I mean, man, cornerback, he's done really well. He's put up some big numbers as far as defensive stuff goes this year. Now, I do like on Scenbotts, I like Eric Berry. He's put up some pretty good numbers. But then Outkick my coverage, home field advantage. Unfortunately, I think Scenbotts continue their slide. I think they're going to lose 3 in a row. I think Outkick is going to go 4-1. And I think it'll be a fairly close game, but I think Outkick my coverages. I think he's going to pull it off.
Sounds good. Sounds good to me. Let's see here. What do we have on tap next for us?
Well, I think we're going into our Week 5 locks. Speaking of which, earlier I said that didn't want to touch on it, but let's go back and revisit real quick. Central Wildcats versus Murphy's Law.
Let's do that.
I think Wildcats is going to pull it off. Signed, sealed, delivered. It checks in the mail. I'm putting my lock on the Wildcats.
Well, I definitely agree with you there because I also said the Wildcats, although there's not my lock, but I did say Wildcats will pull that one off, so I like your pick.
As far as my next pick, I would have to go. I'm looking at the 1-3 Butt Monkeys versus the 3-1 Pill Pushers. Got 2 words for you here: Le'Veon Bell. Bell versus the Jags. I mean, he's going to pretty much carry the team. Pill Pushers. He's going to carry the Pill Pushers. I'm looking 30 points at least. Rodgers, we got him bouncing back. He's got the Vikings. You know, they're middle of the line against the pass. As far as the Butt Monkey side, man, there's Colston again. I mean, he's only been so this year. I don't see him putting up any big numbers at the moment. But Monkey, sorry, you're going 1-4.
That is not good at all right there, in my opinion. But it is, Pill Pushers. I took them last week, so it's hard to disagree with you there. I would probably take them again this week as well.
All right. Well, I'd be interested in hearing who you have for your locks.
Well, it's dangerous when you're this dangerously good at making your picks. You start to get a little conceited and a little reckless at times. And I kind of feel that's where my picks are this week, a little reckless.
You're going ballistic, Mav.
Yeah, I think it's, I am dangerous, Iceman. And you look at the matchups I'm going with. Let's go with the first matchup. We have the Sriracha Angry Chickens against the Havoc Hawks. And you look at the Sriracha Angry Chickens, you got Tony Romo. He put up some points last week, but I don't know if he can pull that off 2 weeks in a row. You got Julian Edelman, Stephen Ridley, both of the New England Patriots. They weren't there last week. Will they be here again this week? Yeah, Alshon Jeffrey, he might be the one who could put up the points. You got Jimmy Graham. So it's one of those, I almost want to say maybe his defense might be better scoring with Luke Kuechly and Gerald McCoy. Gerald McCoy's a beast. He's probably going to at least get 2 sacks against Drew Brees, in my opinion. But, flip it over to Havoc Hawks. Andrew Luck. I almost don't want to have to say another name, but I will. DeMarco Murray. I'll even say one more. Kelvin Benjamin. Talk about a stud rookie right there when it comes to the receiving. Then you also got Jordan Matthews. Also, finally got himself in the touchdown game a week or two ago. You got Travis Kelce is in there. He showed exactly who he was this past Monday night, going crazy against New England. But my pick here, now on paper, it doesn't look good, but I don't care about that. I'm selecting Havoc Hawks over the Sriracha Angry Chickens.
I think that's a good assessment. I think I would agree with that one.
Yep. And then the other one that I'm looking at is Old School versus the Maynardville Mudfish. And you take a look at those teams, and let's start with Mudfish here. This is a 3-1 Mudfish team, by the way. You got Colin Kaepernick, C.J. Spiller, Percy Harvin, Calvin Johnson. Will he show back up? Where has he been all season? Jimmy Graham, studs on this team that could easily score you some points. You got Legatron. I'm not even sure if we should even call him that anymore. Has he been doing anything at all? I don't think he has. So you flip it over to Old School. You got Nick Foles. We all know how you feel about Nick Foles. You got Jamal Charles. Came back big this past week. LaShawn McCoy. They call him Shady. He's been living in the shade. Randall Cobb. Julian Edelman. It's one of those teams where you look at them, they can score points easily. Will they is the question. Old School is 1-3. It's a divisional matchup. Mudfish, Old School. Mudfish, Old School. Upset, my friends. Old School over the Mudfish. I see it happening. I will be going 8-0. It's guaranteed. It's dangerous, it's reckless, and it's going to happen. Watch yourselves.
Yeah, I think you're on the crack again, but it's okay. I love you anyways.
Well, I am drinking Coke.
There you go. All right. It'd be interesting to see how that one goes. I don't know. Can Charles do it again? We'll see. I think Jimmy Graham at home. I don't know. You've kind of left me. I really like when we first started talking about looking at these teams. I really liked Old School. Still like Old School. But
you're thinking to yourself, how are they 1-3?
Yeah, really.
That's what I think. That's what I think to myself. It's almost like, is this even an upset?
Wonder if Old School's just trying to psych us out. I mean, you're going to start Foles against the Rams. When you got Romo versus the Texans versus Brady and the Bengals, I don't know if I would. I don't know. I don't know what he's thinking on that one. And I know we're not. It's not here to look at everybody's players and their benches and necessarily, but the Mudfish has got Rivers versus the Jets, and then Kaepernick versus the Chiefs. I think I don't know. I bet if you keep an eye on it, I'd almost guarantee these lineups are going to change before game day.
It's very possible, and that could be why Old School pulls us off. Who says
All
I'm
right.
not? Who says I'm not expecting that to happen?
Oh well. Okay. Okay.
Huh? Huh? Little
Yeah.
inside
Yeah.
info.
Yeah. There you go. All right. Well, you heard it here. We'll leave it in with David Rome's capable hands. I think that it's going to be interesting. We'll see if you can continue your 8-0 streak. Eventually, you're going to have to fail. So we'll see what happens.
I know, but it's not going to be this week.
Yeah.
But like I said,
can
I
see
went a
that.
little reckless.
Well, but now that I've looked at the benches and breaking it down, I wonder if these guys are starting to mess with this a little bit. Because I could see that one easily going either way, depending on who they put in.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be one of those things. Like it's gonna be interesting to see how this week shapes up in the TFL. Um, I enjoy doing these locks. It's fun to do. But other than that, what else we got for these folks? Anything else?
Man, I think that about covers it. Get us some more names in as far as naming our show. If you guys got anything you want to say, anything you agree with, disagree with, gripes, complaints, if you need to get your heart and mind clear, feel free to text us, call us, email us, Twitter us, whatever you Twitter us. Can I say Twitter us?
That rhymes with.
Well, okay. I think we probably a good time to stop the show before we get in trouble.
Hey? Hey? Yeah, we're in trouble. Anyway, this is David Rome for Dan Tirico. We appreciate you guys listening in to us here on the TFL show. Once again, name us so we don't have to keep calling it the TFL show, or we can just keep calling it our show. It'll be something show. Get your name requests in there. You got one more week to do it. Win yourself a gift card, folks. Once again, for myself, David Rome, Dan Tirico, we are going to be out of here. See ya.
Creep on in, on in, Whoa. See, I'm riding high. Whoa. Kinda broke, you see.